Vanakkam. This is Hyder Ali Sayyed from Asivagam, United Under Tamil.
This is from our Moorish literature because another concept of the Moors was brought up. So I wanted to read a couple things from our Circle 7. So this is from, again, our holy reading, the Moorish science. It says the lessons of this pamphlet are not for sale, but for the sake of humanity. As I'm a prophet, you're speaking of the Moorish prophet, and the servant is worthy of his hire, you can receive this pamphlet at expense. So the reasons that these lessons have not been known is because the Muslims of India, Egypt, and Palestine had these secrets and kept them back from the outside world. And when the time appointed by Allah, they loosened the keys and freed the secrets. And for the first time in ages, have these secrets been delivered in the hands of the Muslims of America. All authority and rights of the publish of this pamphlet, 1927. So this is by Prophet Ali, which is the industrious acts of the Muslims of Northwest and Southwest Africa. These are the Moabites, the Hamathites, Canaanites, who were driven out of the land of Canaan by Joshua and received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle in that portion of Egypt. In later years, they formed themselves kingdoms. These kingdoms are called to this day Morocco, Algiers, Tunis, Tripoli, etc. And then move down to this other section here. This is in chapter 47 of the holy reading of the Moorish Science Tip of America. This is Egypt, the capital empire of the Dominion of Africa. I wanted to share this part with you guys also, see what you think. It says that the inhabitants of Africa are descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. Old man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. His father Ham and his family were second. Then came the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line of the dominion of Amesem, the first true and divine name of Africa, Amesem. It says that the dividing of the land between the father and the son. The dominion of Cush, northeast and southeast Africa, and northwest and southwest was his father's dominion of Africa. In later years, many of their brethren from Asia and the Holy Lands joined them. The Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit northwest Africa. They were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire, with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan, seeking new homes. Their dominion and inhabitation extended. This is where I was going to explain to you guys where I come into this. Their dominion and inhabitation, these are the people I'm descendant of, who their dominion and inhabitation extended from northeast, southwest Africa, across Great Atlantis, even unto the present North, South, and Central America, also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands, before the great earthquake, which caused the Great Atlantic Ocean. The river Nile was dredged and made by the ancient pharaohs of Egypt in order to trade with the surrounding kingdoms. Also, the Niger River was dredged by the great pharaoh of Egypt in those ancient days for trade, and it extends eastward from River Nile westward across the Great Atlantic. It was used for trade and transportation. So this is why we teach in our temple that according to all true and divine records of the human race, there is no Negro, black, or colored race attached to the human family, because all the inhabitants of Africa were and are of the human race, descendants of the ancient Canaanite nation from the holy land of Canaan. What your ancestors, ancient forefathers were, you are today without doubt or contradiction. There is no one who is able to change man from the descent nature of his forefathers, unless his powers extend beyond the great universal creator Allah himself.
You said about Atlantis. So where is the Atlantis?
Well, from where I last looked into it, it's under the water now. The ocean, the Great Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah, over there. Okay, okay. So the Atlantis, you are considering that in Atlantis Ocean, but that Atlantis which the people talk about is in Indian Ocean. So if you put Atlantis over here and try to understand whatever you read just now, you will get a better picture of what the scriptures are talking, or your scriptures is talking to you.
Hi there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Good
I just
morning.
reread it. It mentioned the Atlantis Islands,
Um,
the islands of Atlantis, not Atlantic itself. It was just speaking of a time frame before the great earthquake caused the Atlantic Ocean to give rise. But Atlantis, I'm not sure.
yeah, Bernie. Hello. Hi there.
Hey, Vanakam, Ruben.
Hey, I just love that. Bernie, that's very kind of you. Thank you. Vanakkam. Right. You see what I mean in one word made a big difference. That's what happened to us.
Yep, I've been
Anyway.
practicing a little bit. Haraldi gave me
Wow.
a website I
Okay.
can use. So, yep, I'm learning a little bit. I'm in the
No
kids
worries.
session.
As we go, the days come, both of us will learn from each other on that linguistic part. No worries.
But,
So I've been listening, right? Like, I mean, it's good. You actually, after I came in, you said all that. In that one, that's except two, and that is terminologies. So because of that terminology, uh, what I think is the whole thing, what you said, like, it made too much of sense. Only two. One is like, yeah, Atlantis. We'll come to that later. And the another one is, in shortly, I'll say, in this complete reading, that is a term that Indian Muslims, if it is about Moors, the term Indian Muslims carry, it becomes invalid. Uh, in fact, I believe, I mean, maybe if you can write to the author, you can write to them. I can give certain terminologies which we use here for Moors. The Moors and descendant of Moors, and what was the vital role they played in our region. The Moors, what European talks about, it carries a very short span of history of Moors. That is, they actually started like the Spanish, when how they dominated in Spain and all that. But as far as we are concerned, like the Moors goes a very long way with us, very long way. Later, in fact, like even before the terminology came in, even before that, like when they were part of us. Later, we found out that this is about Moors. That is one. And is it only you talk about Moabites and all the Canaanites and other people as Moors, or that is the way that generally American Moors recognize themselves? It's a question to you, Bernie. Is it only you, or this is how all those people in America who call themselves Moor, like they believe in what you just said?
yes, we refer to ourselves as Moorish Americans,
Okay.
descendants of
Yeah,
Morocco.
there comes another one. In that case, if you recognize yourself as a Moabites, Canaanites, and all those people who later became a Moroccans, these people who call themselves Hebrews or Jewish, they will have they will I mean by the biblical version, they were not great relationship between all of them, right? The Jews are supposed to consider you as an opponent or enemy or whichever you call it. Correct. How do they respond to you now? Hebrew Israelites or Jewish people, whoever it is, when you openly declare that you are the Moabites and the Canaanites and all that, how do they?
So it kind of depends on the denomination. To be honest, some Israelites here in America would say that we are being transnational, like we're just calling ourselves who we want without really having any lineage to it. And then you have some that would say
No,
that
that case, if you recognize yourself as a Moabites, Canaanites, and all those people who later became a Moroccans, these people who call themselves Hebrews or Jewish, they will have an they will by the biblical version, they were not great relationship between all of them, right? The Jews are supposed to consider you as an opponent or enemy or whichever you call it. Correct. How do they respond to you now? Hebrew Israelites or Jewish people, whoever it is, when you openly declare that you are the Moabites and the Canaanites and all that, because your land was given to them and with you they fought.
yes.
How do they?
So it kind of depends on the denomination. To be honest, some Israelites here in America would say that we are being transnational, like we're just calling ourselves who we want without really having any lineage to it. And then you have some that would say
No,
that
I think let's not talk about those kind of people who want to debunk what you believe. Right.
so
We should not. I
those who
don't think
do
we should care
understand.
about such people, right? Let's not worry about them, because I think see, there is one problem. You said so many things in a very wrong time. That is, I'm actually packing up and getting ready to leave out of town. So I'm going to my native. So I need to catch up for train by another one and a half hours. But what you said is so interesting, and I think let's check with Haider for that help. Haider, do you remember the discussion I had? I think Ron was in the room. I think Ron Dalton was in the room. I was talking about Philistines. I was talking about Canaanites. I was talking about Amorites.
Yes, yes.
I missed out Moabites. Yes, I'm sorry, but that, right, all that. And I was saying that these people, instead of fighting with us, they fought with all those who we were related to. You remember that, Haider?
Yes, yes, yes. I remember. I think the
Yeah,
recording
I
is there.
think.
The
Yeah,
video is there.
see, Yeah, I know that recording is there. I think you should share that with Bernie, because what Bernie says, it's totally matching. I have never read what the book that he referred to, but based on my
If
understanding,
you make
based
me
on the
mod-
cultural.
if you make me moderator, I can put the link at the top.
No, yeah, please do that. That is another one. Whatever you said, in fact, almost exactly the same. Only thing I missed out, I think, Moabites I missed out. See, all that, we spoke about that time. Ron Dalton was here because he's a Hebrew Israelite side. So I was trying to tell him a lot of things, but time is always short, right? Of course, we are not going to sit for just one day and talk and disappear. We're gonna do a lot of things. See, there are a few corrections to be done. Yeah, that's yeah, okay. I'll get to that hermetic.com. Oh, sorry, Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Okay, here the Atlantis part is okay. This is I am done. So, if you listen to that, you share that voice file, the YouTube or whichever hider to Bernie, that specific one. So he will have a very clear picture. See, imagine that, Bernie and they're studying about their own ethnicity based on like Moorish, and they are in America. I am in another different part of the world, and we are talking about something that like very similar, right? So so that one to be really discussed. So I'm going to go through this information and uh, based on my other understanding, because whatever I said about Philistines and Moorish and everything is based on the cultural and cultural, linguistic, and resemblance, and that's where like I see the remnants of our culture as well as which is based on language. Not only that, in fact, like when I start with Mesopotamian, Elamite, and all that. See, like I always say that uh, when our maritime records are there, that like how we were trading with Greece and Greek islands, I always say that like if we did all that without the help of Kushites, we couldn't have done that. And also, and without, based on our records, our even till today that we have the records, that how those people today, they call themselves like Moors, they've been associated with it since day one, since ancient times. I think I always say that repeatedly, correct, Haider? Every time West African discussion comes, but only thing is that a Bernie is being highly specific. I mean, I was using a generalized term, and Bernie is being very specific. And when Bernie being specific about not only Moors, who the Moors are, then it comes to my other part that I speak about the Canaanites and everyone, that where how I found the remnants of our culture, along with linguistic references. So these all like based on by listening to Bernie and by checking the information based on 30 plus of Erythraean and even like older books, you see that like how Kushites were like associated. So these are, without speaking about Moors and Kushites, there is absolutely no point in talking about like ancient Tamil's maritime trade routes. This I've been insisting over and over, like every time like into the topic comes up. Bernie has been highly helpful like, in giving inner details with more information. And that one, that is very closely related to that Philistine, Canaanites, and Elamite discussions. That audio files to be shared. But one thing is Bernie. The Atlantis part, I think that is number one. It has to be discussed because that is not how it is. Because that has been written based on the Western point of view in the earlier times in 16th and 17th century, that when they were talking about Atlantis, and that is what they said. But it has been very clearly understood by people now. There is no way that such the description which we find it in Homer's Iliad or in Odyssey, that such kind of an islands wouldn't have existed like in that region. That is number one. And number two, that's another part. The only issue with Bernie is, just because somebody is friends with someone, that we cannot say things. But whatever Yahweh says, and there are people in your thing, they use the name Moor, and they are going way beyond, and our educated segment in the rest of the world will not listen to them. We will laugh. It is not only about Westerners. Westerners are not only the educated people. In fact, they are more ignorant. For missing points and to lose ends, or only we will have to fill them what is what. The only problem with them is they will never accept it that they don't know something. Even if they want to ask a question what they don't know, they will like to teach us, and they try to get an answer. But all that his talks, I was listening to him, I heard him very well. anyone really know about world history that and they will use them for entertainment purpose only. I mean, including myself. But what you said just now, this particular part, except that Atlantis part, it made a lots and lots of sense, because when we speak about parts of our history, it should sync with another person who is talking about his history, right? If it is not syncing, that then we become history isolate. You got my point. So this one, I will collect all the terminologies which we use for Moors in my land, because they are still living with us, Bernie. And even you can Google a specific one, ARWIRV, a language after the Arab domination. Moors widely they were speaking Arab language, and they invented a language in my own land, and that is also RV. You check on RV and you see that origin of it. And there is also, you type and find out Sri Lankan Moors, because Sri Lanka today may be a different country. As far as trading is concerned, all the parts are ours. So Sri Lankan Moors Association, they still have an association in Colombo, right? And you see that there is another movie. Maybe I'll try. Either try to send them from Netflix about Maracaya, but in Maracaya, they. Some information is purposefully they modified for a specific reason, but Maracay history is been generally being spoken in that movie, which was released hardly about 2-3 months ago. That is Moors. They explain that their origin, that is the Moors origin explained, and their skill set. So since I gotta go, yeah, I'm maybe from tomorrow afternoon I'll be free. I need to catch up this train, right? Hello, Nagfa. I would be happy to discuss with you, but I need to catch up a train. I'm going to my native Nagfa, Madurai. I'm going.
Okay.
So,
I was
right.
going to
So
read
we will
another
discuss.
passage. I think you guys will find interesting. But since you have to go, I can read it again tomorrow. But
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
another
sure.
session since you guys find it
Bernie, hold on. It is not. I find it interesting. I'm just loving it.
Yeah, yeah. If you,
Right? Okay,
yeah,
that
exactly.
specific part, because
Also, like,
I am my in my discussion in my discussion. I really need to see. I am very much into the maritime trade routes. I really love to see that, gradually that we're all we were associated, because there is one term that I never believe that one dominated another, because that wasn't never our way of life. Association and friendship and interrelated is the way of life, because there is one thing that what we do not do, we do not take someone else's land. That is a definition for what is my land. The land, what we have, and we call it own. It is not when our ancestors went to the land wasn't ready with sugarcane, banana trees, and paddy fields and everything. So our ancestors jumped on it and enjoyed it. No, that was never the case. It was always, it was a dense forest or barren lands. Our ancestors land on it. They put their work, skill set, sweat, almost everything, crap. Everything they put it, they made that land as a livable one, and which we today we call it as a civilization. That is why, we call it as our land. Our land was not somebody else's, and we jumped on them and massacred them and took the land. It was never like that. So I love to see it only that kind of a thing, the remnants of all that history pieces, and compile it instead of I'm into creating something that which can never sync with anybody else's. What I say should sync with Nakpa. What I say it should sync with Bernie. What I say should sync with Hyder Ali's point of view, because each of us, all of us, we work, right? All of us, we think. At the same time, we also should learn to drop things if it does not sync. So every view has to sync with each other. What doesn't sync, mostly if you look at it, it was never our knowledge. We would have adapted somebody else's knowledge who has no clue about what we are. We are like when Hyder Ali said that there is the Kuladeva, where like we meet in the place and we marry. We remember the teachings of our ancestors, and we sacrifice. And what did you do with the sacrifice? Like we cooked and ate it as a family. But when an outsider who had no idea about this culture, like when they looked at us, they said like yeah, these guys are worshipping some idol. Then after a period of time, we started telling each other, yeah, we are worshipping idol. That is exactly like the term black. When we were all sitting together, we did not call each other black in a discriminatory tone. And someone else come and call us black. After after a few couple of centuries, we started calling each other black. This is what we do. So we also have to understand that how we are, right? So anyway, it is very interesting, gentlemen. Like but yeah, I gotta go now.
Yeah, Haradi, I wanted to read this other section here, then I have to go. Let's see what you think about this also. Let me, I guess, bring AK in here if he wants to talk. There you go. Okay, this is chapter 45 of the Holy Reading. We believe, again, this is a little book that will be given to the Moors according to Revelations chapter 10, verse 7. Spokes of a little book. So we believe this is that little book in Revelations, given by the seventh angel. The divine origin of the Asiatic nations. This is called the divine origin of the Asiatic nations. The fallen sons and daughters of the Asiatic nation of North America need to learn to love instead of hate, and to know their higher self and their lower self. This is the uniting of the Holy Quran of Mecca for teaching and instructing all Moorish Americans, etc. So the purpose of this little book, in short, was to unite us back to the Quran of Mecca. That's what it was. It was this book I read first, and then I read the Quran of Mecca, because it united me to it. The Quran of Mecca with the 114 chapters. All right, I'm gonna read on. The key of civilization was and is in the hands of the Asiatic nations, the Moorish, who were ancient Moabites and the founders of the holy city of Mecca, the Egyptians, who were the Hammatites and a direct descendant of Mizraim, the Arabians. I'm gonna read over. I'm sorry. The Egyptians, who were the Hammatites and a direct descendant of Mizraim, the Arabians, the seed of Hagar, Chinese and Japanese, the Hindus of India, which are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites, Hittites, and Moabites of the land of Canaan, the Asiatic nations of North, South, and Central America, which consists of the Moorish Americans and the Mexicans of North America, Brazilians, Argentinians, and Chileans in South America, Colombians, Nicaraguans, and the native of San Salvador in Central America, etc. All of these are Muslims. And then last verse, it reads, the Turks are the true descendants of Hagar, who are the chief protectors of the Islamic creed of Mecca, beginning from Muhammad I, the founder of the uniting of Islam by the command of the great universal God Allah. And that is that.
Actually, you're talking about the Turks, no? The Ottomans. The last line.
The last line?
Yeah, the Turk is talking about Turks, no?
Yes. I'll read it really quick. So the Turks are the true descendants of Hagar, who are the chief protectors of the Islamic creed of Mecca, beginning from Muhammad I, the founding of the uniting of Islam.
Yes, but actually the Turks are not the family of Hagar. They are from Caucasians, and these are the people who ended the regime of from Mecca. That's around 1400 AD. And at the same time, the children of Israel who were in Europe, they were kicked out of that land because of these people. And wherever they went, actually, wherever these Turks went, they brought their religion called Sufism. So, and that's the reason why we have lots of graveyard everywhere, and people are worshipping them. And these are the people who have brainwashed the majority of the black people that the Prophet Muhammad is a white man. It's because of this Caucasian Turks. In India, also wherever they rule, whenever they are saint or anyone dies, they constructed a dargah or a tomb where people used to get together and they used to do something. So the Turks are basically not a part of. They are Caucasians, not from the bloodline of Hagar. Yeah. Because real Arabs are black. Prophet Muhammad is a black man. Hagar is a black. Ibrahim is a black. And these Caucasians, the Turks are the Caucasians. So nowhere they are connected with our people.
Yeah, I agree with the Caucasian. Like this, the same with like when I say Moors, a lot of people don't think about people with my skin color. They would think about like somebody that looks like I don't know if, who you might know, but just light skinned, very light skinned, very fair skinned. But yeah, they're amalgamated with Europeans. So what you're saying is true. But with the Quran is the Moorish Quran is pointing at as the Asian Turks who look like me.
Prolonging due to four basically regime disguised as Muslim world. Satyugam possible only through straight path of first